Hi, welcome to Matt's Garage. I've been super busy in the shop ever since I finished repairing that windshield frame. I haven't been recording any of it, but I have shared it with my Patreon subscribers as I'm making progress. If you want to be one, you can see the link in the description. And I've been posting stuff to Instagram at Matt's Garage Show. So I'm going to catch you up right now on what I've been up to. For the passenger side fender, I don't know if you remember, but there was fender flares on this and like 4 million holes. So I filled all those holes, and then this bottom was rotted out, so I made a new patch panel for the bottom of that front fender. For the driver's side, same thing. I filled all the holes, but then I also made the difficult decision to fill the bullet hole. So if you remember, a bullet hole went in through here and made a bad dent on this side. And I just couldn't imagine like going through all this trouble and leaving a hole in it. So I just banged it out. It's there, it was captured on film, and it's part of the history of the truck. I also managed to get the emblems out without breaking them, which is a miracle. For my next trick, I need to move the camera. Ta-da! My transmission train, if you will, is complete. I basically pulled the bolts out of this and resealed them with thread sealant, just so there wasn't any leak by on the bolts. And then I resealed the bottom oil plate here. So then I shot it with this stuff. Magic tractor paint from Tractor Supply Company in Ford Blue. Did the same thing with the bell housing, just cleaned it up, shot it with Ford Blue, and then I cleaned this by hand. I didn't want to paint the AX15, I actually like the contrast, and then got all the linkage set back up, and it's basically ready to drop into the vehicle. I was going to rebuild this. I do have a rebuild kit, but I don't know. Let's see if it works first. Finally, I made a modification to the brake booster. Do this at your own risk. But basically, when you get it, the way it's set up, there was a lot of slop. Like if you were to take this ear and push it back and forth, there'd be a ton of movement and jiggling. And what I did was I basically pulled out this through bolt, pulled this center pivot out, and there's 2 tabs in here. There's 1 tab there and 1 tab there. And I welded those shut and re-drilled them to perfectly match the stud that goes through there. And then I got some nylon washers at McClendon's, whatever, just your local Ace Supply, and filled the space in between the ears and the forks or whatever. So that took all the slack out of the system. While I was doing all that, I would swing by and spray this down with oven cleaner a couple times and then degreaser a couple times. And now we're ready to tear the engine down and start rebuilding it. I'm starting with the oil pan, and as I was cleaning it, I noticed I was scraping up this like gray film, and I think it's paint. But what I don't know, is it factory paint or did someone do like a cheesy spray paint job on the oil pan? But I took some acetone to it, and it does just kind of wipe off. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe it all off. Maybe the oven cleaner loosened it or something. I have no idea. So I think it was painted because there's a little yellow dot right here, like with a paint marker that was underneath that gray. Makes me nervous because it's like, why were they painting? What were they painting? What was going on? But this black stuff seems to hold up to the acetone. So, hey, for $3-4 of acetone in an hour of your life, you can save $90 on a stamped steel oil pan. That's your tip of the day from Matt's Garage. Plus, I still got to weld up this oil temperature sensor hole, which obviously I won't be running. By the way, this is what I use to close up the holes on the fenders. It's this copper-backed magnetic thing. Took me a while to figure out how to use those properly, but they are useful. There you go. No pinholes. That's good. Oil pan is basically ready to be painted and put into service. I do want to get 2 new O-rings for the pan plugs. I'm going to put these in backwards so that it's an indication to myself that I have something to do here. While I had the welder out, I just went in and welded in a weld nut there. Low focus. A weld nut there. That's the mount for my prop valve, my proportioning valve. And the 66s don't have that hole, so I had to make one. All right, I'm about to pop the heads off, but before I do, I just wanted to mark them so I remember which one was passenger and which one was driver, because they're pretty much the same. Passenger, driver. Disclaimer, I have never, ever rebuilt an engine before. So don't do anything I do or listen to me, generally speaking. I'm just kind of cleaning everything before I put it in. Definitely a little bit of sludge in these parts. Not too bad though. You get the idea. All right, I've got both sets of heads with the rockers and rocker arms and the lifters out of the engine, and the spark plugs are all in this tray. Now I'm just going to go put this somewhere where I know it'll be safe and sound and won't be disturbed. So on the treadmill. I've never used one of these before, so I will be sure to engage my safety squints now. Wow, that tool sucks. Am I using it wrong? Okay, so I mean, I got that pushed down, so that springs tension, but shouldn't the keepers now come out? How can this be safe? That's good. Now I only have to do that 16 more times. All right, the heads are fully disassembled. I'm going to take the valve train, go put it on the treadmill, and then come back and start getting into the block. So with the dots aligned, that's my orientation. All right. Wait, I should take a picture of that orientation too. Wait, it's obvious because it covers that oiling. There's an oiling port that comes back and oils that bearing. Okay. I'm just looking at these cam lobes, and they all look really nice. Now all the cylinders are marked. It's hard to get them out when they're at a certain angle. The bearing is still in there. All right, so that's the number 1 out. Let's go to time lapse, shall we? And it's done. At this point, it's down to the crankshaft, which rotates super smoothly. I'm gonna take the crankshaft off, then put the caps back on and leave the block like that, basically. So this looks like a different bearing than the others. Everything looks in really good shape. But like I said, this was a running motor, so I'm not surprised. I have no idea what this does. It's either coolant or oil. Or just rusty. Well, that teardown went great. I'm super happy with everything, all the condition of all the surfaces. I'm gonna leave the cam bearings in place just because that's kind of a hassle and I don't want to deal with it, and they're in great shape. When I get back from the East Coast, I'll be gone for about a week. As soon as I get back, I'm gonna clean the block totally, get it ready for paint and the heads, reassemble everything with new rod bearings and main bearings and rings, clean up the pistons, just clean everything, right? And then I'm gonna reassemble everything and then paint it. But that is for a future episode of Matt's Garage.